It was paper. I handed it all out to them. I said,
Yeah.
all right, here's what we're going to do. Take a look at this. They looked at me and they said, no.
They said no?
They said no.
Can they say no? I mean, they said no.
They said no.
I guess they can say no.
They can say no.
What did you do?
Back to my big pregnant pause of, holy. Took a breath. I thought, this is not going the way it's supposed to go.
Phil Phails for you.
You got a through line here of helping people.
Oh, absolutely.
Helping people improve. And I could close my eyes. We'll go back in a time machine for you to your last role and see you as a cool principal. I think you would be the coolest principal.
I enjoyed it. And I was a principal at a junior high, 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Okay.
And that's kind of the hardest set of grades.
Yeah, because when kids transition from elementary school to middle school, it is a difficult transition, not only because there's a lot of expectations, the flow is different. I'm telling you, you know all this stuff.
Yeah.
You can just fill in the blanks, which there'll be a lot. And then also you're getting kids from all over the place that have been culturalized in different ways, and they're coming together, at least here at Lamar.
Right. And they're not little elementary kids anymore.
Yeah.
But they're not high school yet either.
They're self-differentiating, but they don't have the experience or the wisdom yet.
And they're trying to find their place.
And
they can be tough, but I loved it. And I loved the teachers. I really, really loved being a resource and a support for the teachers and working with the adults so that they could better serve the kids.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a small enough school that I still worked with all the kids. I knew all the kids. And it was fun. And I learned a lot. Funny story is it was my first gig as an administrator. And I went in, and here in Texas, we have what's called the A through F accountability system. Schools are graded, districts are graded A through F based on a lot of different things. A lot of it is our standardized test, the STAR test, right? And so I came in not knowing anything, so I was just getting my feet wet the first year. They brought in an interim principal to work with me, who's done this before. He was retired, so I could just kind of learn.
Right.
Well, at the end of that first year, that junior high basically failed. Their grades were D's and F's.
And the buck stops.
So
the buck stop with you?
The buck stops with me.
Oof.
Yeah. And so even though things were in place when I started, it wasn't necessarily a reflection of my leadership because things were already there. But now it was. What do we do moving forward?
Right. We've got this data.
And what data do we have, and how do we get more data, and what are we looking at? And I'm still learning.
How do we?
I'm like trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, we got to fix this because my job is on the line. These kids' lives are on the line. You know, I mean, their futures. I came up, Phil, with the best. I came up with this plan. I spent days and hours crafting what we're going to do. We're going to change schedules. We're going to put kids here in these blocks. We're going to move things around. We're going to get tutoring. We're going to do all these different things, right? In education that you do, because we got to move that needle. We've got to do something, right?
Yeah,
we can't
help these kids.
Right? D's and F's are not good.
My job too, but the kids.
So I had this plan. It was beautiful. It was, man, I tell you what. So I brought the staff together after school one day and I said, okay.
Public speaking.
Here's what we're going to do. And this is before my public speaking stuff, but I'm a leader now.
You were learning. Yeah.
I'm a leader.
Yeah, you're speaking whether you like it or not. Yeah, you're learning.
I said, and it was paper. I handed it all out to them. I said, all right, here's what we're going to do. Take a look at this. They looked at me and they said, no.
They said no?
They said no.
Can they say no? I mean, they said no.
They said no.
I guess they can say no.
They can say no. Now, it's a small district. Those teachers had been there for years. Many of them grew up there, went to school and came back and are teaching there. And they basically said no.
No. What did you do? Oh, back to your Wile E. Coyote back at the drawing board.
Back to my big pregnant pause of, holy.
Oh my God. Oh God.
I took a breath. I thought, this is not going the way it's supposed to go. This is not good. What do I do?
You thought, applause.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. This is going to be great.
I said, okay. I took my paper, my copy of it, crumpled it up, threw it over my shoulder. I said, all right, tell me why. Why will that not work? They said, this won't work with our kids in this district. Here's why. X, Y, Z.
This is where you listen. You get some feedback from people that know the district, know the kids, know the environment, the context.
I said, okay.
And you get more data, different data, but really important data.
And I said, then what do we do?
Bam.
Because we have to do something.
Make it conversational and relational.
What do we do?
You get buy-in.
What are some ideas that you have?
Yeah.
Because we cannot keep doing what we're doing and get the same results because
you did it in a silo. You siloed your thing.
Yep.
Which
I thought.
You
don't know what you don't know.
It was a great way to start. Because then they got to see you not fold, which a lot of people would. But what you did was you went back to the drawing board with them.
And I said, okay, then what do we do? They said, here's some things we can do. I said, okay.
Let's do it.
Let's start doing it. And so this is the beginning of the year. And we brought in some other people from the Region Service Center.
Yeah,
right. I wasn't working there or anything.
Yeah.
Right. We brought some people in. They had some ideas. And so the first half of the year, the first semester, we were throwing everything we could at it.
Mm-hmm.
We tried this and we tried that and we tried groupings and we tried everything. And we didn't decide on what we were going to do until we started back after the winter break. Because some things were starting to work, some things were not working. And so finally, when we came back, we're like, this is what we're going to do. And it was several things and some really, really cool things that we put in place. And at one point, the superintendent called me to his office, or he called me on the phone and kind of was not happy with me because of something that we were doing. And then I was about to fold. I'm like, I'm in trouble. I'm going to lose my job.
You were doing something that was unorthodox, or?
Yeah. So here's what we did. So we needed kids to really focus in on what they were doing and getting things complete. Homework, assessments, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So we gave them free time. That is not a good thing in public schools.
Isn't it called recess?
They don't do that anymore.
Okay.
It's a whole nother soapbox. But
I'm old school.
Me too. Friday afternoon, the last period of the day.
Yeah.
They could either go out to the playground. They could go into one of the rooms and watch a movie. There was another room that had some board games. Or they would be in a classroom completing work that they had not completed. So
incentivized.
And we would post a list on the door during lunch, when they were at lunch, of who could have the free time the last period of the day and who had to go to the other room to do their work.
To catch up.
So one afternoon, I get a call from the superintendent, whose office was up on the hill overlooking the school.
He's got the high ground.
And the playground. And I won't use the words that he used, but he said, Rick, what in the world are those kids doing out there playing when we've got failing scores?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I freaked out and I panicked. He goes, you better fix this. Yes, sir. Now, I knew in the back of my head what we were doing and why, and that it was working.
You knew your why, and you were following the results.
But that...
The visual for him.
I was like, oh my God. So I called the teachers in, some of my lead teachers. I said, okay, I can't think right now. Tell me why we're doing this. They said, oh, because of this and this and this, our number of incomplete work has dropped. Test scores on our class tests have gone up.
You're getting results.
Things were getting better and better and better. And the kids that were not doing it were getting remedial help with their work during that period.
Yeah. So
I said, okay.
You just need to tell the superintendent.
So I typed something up because he's one of those, he has to have something in his hand.
Yeah.
I typed it up, went up to his office. First thing the next morning, I was waiting there, waiting for him to get to the office.
Up the hill.
Up the hill. I'm getting nervous. This is not excitement. This is nervous.
Yeah, you were nervous.
This is not, I can't change this into excitement.
Rick, you're excited.
I'm
You're
excited
no,
to lose my job.
Yeah.
So went into his office, had the piece of paper, and I slid it across to him. Picks it up. He's reading it. Puts it down. Takes a pen out of his jacket. There's a big scribble on it. I have no idea what he's doing. He pushes it back across the table to me. I pick it up. Approved.
All right. I thought it was going to say like, good job. Like he's a teacher through and through. He's 100%.
Nope. Approved. Because I
Nice.
gave him our why. I
data.
gave him the
Yeah.
results. I gave him the data.
Yeah.
But it was, and I don't remember how we got onto all of that, but it was when I was, that principal. We were talking about me as a principal, and I loved working with those
story
teachers.
of public
And
speaking because it shows, I imagine when you're up there, do you ever need to pivot?
oh, sure.
When you're doing because you pivoted. You were talking to all those teachers and you were like, hey man, I got a plan. This is what I'm going to teach you. This is how I'm going to teach you. This is how I'm going to give you my why and all
Yep.
that. And they're like,
Nope.
not buying it. Is there ever a time in a public speaking context where you need to do that sort of thing? I mean, obviously you did. You had that. That is the context.
Well, and let me to not leave you hanging. We got A's at the end of that year.
Ooh. So you turned it around.
We turned it around. The teachers did.
The teachers
The
did.
teachers did all the work, right? I was just the figurehead. The teachers did all the work. The
Yeah.
kids were all the success, but we got A's.
Yeah.
Which is very rare in 1 year to go from an F to an A.
Heck yeah.
But we did it. They did it. It was amazing.